People kind of feel like we're in apocalypse right now.
If you want to learn how to swim, they throw you in the deep end of the pool. You got to figure it out.
I'll just sink and die.
Same, because I can't swim either. So I'm like, I guess I'm gonna just die. For some people, I have friends that are like that. They said they learned how to swim because their parents threw them in the pool and they had to figure it out. So for some people, it works. Like you get in the zombie apocalypse, you're gonna have to learn how to hunt. You're gonna have to learn which mushrooms are the good mushrooms and which ones are the poisonous ones. Me, I would probably be dead in like the first 3 days. I'm like, I don't have no Wi-Fi. I can't watch episodes of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like, no, kill me.
And like that's the real like difficulty, right? Like I don't have access to my shows. I don't have access to my movies. I don't get to like yap and complain about the Oscars and the nominations. Like, no, might as well just call it.
Fact.
And today, your Dove AP, welcome to Dove Weather, am joined by Micael, the Black Gay Comic Geek, who is a phenomenon. He is a cultural critic, a cultural commentator, a man who sees your gay media and says, yes, give me more. And also, why did you cancel my show? He also loves movies, comic books. He covers everything. Micael, welcome to Dove Weather.
Hey, thank you for having me. I appreciate being here. Yeah, my motto is always make it blacker, make it gayer. So
I say something very similar, just Mexican instead of black.
make it more Mexican, make it gayer. There you go.
Hazlo más mexicano y más.
Yeah, I mean, representation. There's another saying of mine. Not this one. Everybody says this one, but representation matters. But then this is what I always say: through representation, it equals normalization.
100%, 100%. And because of that kind of like mindset and that ability to like look at like the current structure of things and say, why isn't it blacker? Why isn't it gayer? I wanted to bring you on to talk about something that is, well, actually neither of those things.
Yeah, I was gonna say not. But the blacker part maybe because it was directed by a black woman. So there you go.
That's right. Today we are talking about 28 years later, The Bone Temple, directed by Nia DaCosta and written by Alex Garland. This is the sequel for the movie 28 years later, which is 2 out of the 3 planned movies for this revival. And, it just came out. It was in the theaters. A lot of people watched it. A little less people than the 28 years later, but it still got an incredible reception critically and for the viewers. And
I wish it made more at the box office though, because it was really good. I actually like this one more than the first one. Well, it fluctuates. I think you need both, but this was a really good movie.
Yeah, that's my takeaway too. This movie has a lot to say and a lot to like show. There's like a lot of imagery used here. There's commentary on like violence and who gets to use it and when is it used, and about abuse. And there's also this. It's a very beautiful movie. Like Nia DaCosta is a very talented director who took a divergent path from Danny Boyle in 28 Years Later and made it a way more stable presentation. There's way less like handy-cam, very fast, shaky movie direction, and I really like that. Like when you walked out of this movie, what was that feeling in your heart? What did you feel?
So I have 2 reactions, and the reason I say this is because when I saw this movie, I saw it. I got an early screening, so I saw it before it actually came out in theaters. Like Nia DaCosta was there. They talked with Jack O'Connell, who plays Jimmy. But I saw the movie having not seen the one before this.
Oh yeah.
So while I was watching it, I was confused. I didn't know what the hell was going on. I didn't know Dr. Kelson. I didn't know who Jimmy was. I didn't know who Spike was. I knew nothing. So as I was watching, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I don't know what's happening. I mean, but I can still dig it. I can still kind of understand what's going on, but I don't really get it or whatever. So while I did enjoy the movie, I didn't appreciate it as much. But then after I saw the movie, I enjoyed it enough that I went home and watched the first movie because it's on Netflix right now. At least I think it's still on Netflix. I know it was supposed to leave. I think it's supposed to leave at the end of this month. But I went and watched the first movie 28 years later. And then I thought about the Bone Temple, and then I was like, oh, okay. I really appreciate this movie a lot more. And now I can understand everything more. Now I haven't seen the first movie, the 28 years later versus, going into that movie completely blind. So at first, that's why I said I had two reactions. Because at first I was confused, but I was like, I'm digging it. I appreciate these scenes and everything like that. But now I'm like, okay, now I really like it. Now that I know what the fuck is happening.
I think this story, like there is of course a zombie element, but there's the human side of this is so present. It starts with Spike, a kid who is orphaned in a strange place with zero knowledge of even the landmass he's in, and especially not who Jimmy Savile is and like who this Jimmy Crystal guy could be.
And to push back on that a little bit, I don't know. I wouldn't say he's orphaned because his father's around. His father's looking for him, but he left. He wanted to, try to explore the world and become a man, quote unquote, on his own. And now that I know who Spike is, because like the movie started with Spike, and I'm just like, who is this kid? Who is this little boy? Why are we following him? Like, but now I know. Seeing his journey and everything like that. And just like, oh, I feel now like retroactively, I feel bad for Spike being that what he had to go through in the beginning of the episode with Jimmy, but it's all going to help him, just help him grow and be the person that he wanted to be, which is the reason why he left that colony in the first place in the first movie. Oh, yeah. He was sheltered his whole life. And I was actually surprised that Aaron Taylor Johnson was, now that I know what I know, I'm like, oh, the fact that Aaron Taylor Johnson wasn't in this movie kind of surprises me.
Yeah. No, I get that, especially because he's such a big name. Like his star was rising all through 2020. And I've read some interviews where he was fairly open about like how his character was not going to come back. But I'm glad that Spike did come back, played by Alfie Williams, who's having a very, very big year in 2025 and soon to be 2026 with this coming out. He was great in Adolescence, a show that I don't know if I loved as much as everybody else, but his performance is undoubtedly incredible. So I want to talk about some of the characters here, and
I feel like Aaron Taylor Johnson, he's got to come back for the third movie, right? Like if they're ending it with 3, like he's got to come back. So I suspect
maybe Danny Boyle's also very open about like the third one will come out only if like the second one makes money.
Yeah, and so far it hasn't made that much money in the box office. So, well, I mean, maybe we'll see.
The budget was about $63 million and like $70 million on like advertising and marketing. So in its opening weekend on MLK weekend was not that big. It was about $33 million.
Yeah, I feel like more people are going to end up seeing it on streaming than go to the theaters to see it. Because also part of it is like, I feel like they made it very confusing, like also calling it 28 years later, the Bone Temple, as opposed to maybe just the Bone Temple. And then also on top of that, it's only been like 7 months. So there are some people that are like, oh, I saw this last year. Like they might think that it's just a re-release. And they're like, oh, well, I already saw this last year.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to go to the movies to see it again. And it's like I feel like they didn't make it clear enough that this was a sequel.
I pretty much saw no marketing for this either. Like I know that it probably existed, and I am a little blind to marketing these days. But like the only reason why I knew it was coming out and I wanted to watch it was because Nia DaCosta made it. Someone who I've enjoyed some of her movies. I haven't seen all her catalog, but I like it. I like Alfie Williams. I really like Jack O'Connell right now. And I mean, Ray Fiennes is like an actor that I love to watch in anything.
Yeah, I mean that too. I feel like the only reason I knew about it is because I was invited to an early screener. It was like, "Hey, Michael, do you want to come see 28 Years Later the Bone?" Oh, didn't even know this was coming out. Yeah, sure. I'll check it out. Even though I've never seen the other ones, but I'll check it out.
So you walked in with like 3 movies unwatched. You came in blind.
I've never seen the original. Like when they invited me, I had never seen any 28 years. Like I've never seen any of them. 28 days, 28 days later, 28 weeks later. Like I haven't seen any of them, but I at least saw 28 days and 28 weeks before I saw the Bone Temple. I just hadn't had the chance. By the time the screening came up, I just didn't get a chance to watch the one before, but I at least saw days and weeks. So I had some knowledge going into it.
Yeah, and that knowledge would have been good, but also like it's a good standalone movie. There's some stuff there like that absolutely would need to be explained. But I think about, for example, Jack O'Connell's Jimmy Crystal as a character, which was wonderful. A wonderful like performance, the design, the dialogue, even, and also the motivation that's so like present. I really like Jack O'Connell in Sinners. He did incredible as a vampire and as an Irishman.
Agreed. He's having a great run right now as villains.
And he does it well. He does it very good. And I really like Jimmy Crystal, or excuse me, Sir Lord Jimmy Crystal, because he's like a character that defies logic a little bit. Like he's presented as this like Satanist, like cultist leader of a 7-person pack, which is, this world is so sparsely populated that like a group of 8 people moving about is, I think, a big deal. And so like you have to ask yourself, what's so good about Jimmy Crystal that like people want to follow him? And it's what's put on screen is very telling. He is not charismatic. He's not very smart. He doesn't really have a real encompassing like vision for this cult that he has. He really has nothing.
I mean, he has enough that he's able to convince these kids to basically fight and die for him. So I think in the sense of what he has, I think he just has this idea and fake dream of a community and, an identity. Because I'm pretty sure a lot of these kids that he's dealing with are probably all orphans. They don't have anyone. And so here he is promising, like, you're all Jimmys. We're all going to be one. Like, we're all going to build this family together. And so I think that's the promise. That's the allure that he's bringing to the table. This idea that these kids that probably have nothing and no one and no one to care for them, now they do.
And it's a terribly isolated world where everyone is out for each other, including the people that like share like the little farm that they invaded. Like the pregnant woman there, like she just let a guy die, but for some reason, I guess maybe just self-preservation. And so like, yeah, he's providing something. He's providing like a sense of community. And the glue that
it's a level of found family, more or less.
I can see that. I think the glue that he uses, though, is abuse and violence. Like the start of this movie shows the replication of the Jimmys. How do more Jimmys come into the fist, the 7-fingered fist of Jimmy Crystal? And that's through violence. People
Yes.
need to die. Spike, who is alone in this world and gets found by this group in the previous movie, has to commit murder to be able to join them, or for the
More or less.
amusement of old Nick or something.
Yeah, to basically prove himself, pretty much.
And I think that like use of violence and abuse is the reason, is the glue for this, because it's such a violent place already. But like, it's also the thing that Jimmy Crystal has. That's all I think he has. All he has is the willingness to like commit atrocities.
Yeah, and we even kind of see that in the skinning, the shirt thing was like he gets off on the power of just being able to do that.
And he's willing to like do it to like anybody, like in the group as well. Like it's not, there's no, the cohesion of the group is, it's not love, it's fear.
Yeah, it's ruled by fear, which is a lot of tyrannical dictator type people. That's what they do.
Yeah, I think there is like something to be said here on that. Like I don't think there's a direct commentary on like right wing like approach to like social cohesion in this per se, as much as the use of violence on a societal level. I do see though that like this guy Jimmy Crystal is like the worst possible like aspect of this society, or the lack of it. And due to that, like it needs to be heightened. The violence needs to be heightened, even in this like incredibly violent place. I don't know. Would you be a finger? Like if Jimmy Crystal was like, "Yo, Michael, you wanna join?"
No. No, I'm not joining. But also, I guess you can never say, because you don't know until you're in that situation. So if it's like, did Spike really have a choice? Like if he told Jimmy no, would Jimmy just be like, okay, we're not gonna, well, sorry, thank you for your time, I guess you can go about your business? No, he would probably had the fingers kill him. So like, if you're put in that position, would you like join just to like placate, and then find, kind of like what Spike did, wait until his moment that he could try to escape?
Oof. Yeah, I mean, it's only bad choices there. It's only bad choices, and like I wouldn't join. Yeah, sure, because of the violence. Yeah, I think I'm kind of allergic to that a little bit, but I wouldn't join also because of the outfits. Like I'm sorry, I will not be wearing a blonde wig.
The outfits and the wig.
Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good.
I'm like, we need to do better. We need to do better with this. Like, come on, if we're gonna inflict fear against everybody, we need to have a better fashion statement, because this is not scaring anybody.
Yeah, at least a little leather. I mean, or like some jeans. Like, why am I in a tracksuit?
But I guess I don't know. Like, you're in a zombie apocalypse. This is probably all they got.
Yeah, I mean, it is all they have, right? And like the costuming is also very like evocative of that, because there's like patchwork all throughout the tracksuits of each of the Jimmys. But I would just be like, no, I'm sorry. I'm too swagged out for this outfit. I'm sorry. I cannot be part of this. The violence, okay, maybe I'll get used to it. I don't know. But looking blonde, nah, not for me.
Well, yeah, I mean, especially living in a zombie apocalypse, more than likely you're definitely going to be used to violence, because you're going to have to kill, even if it's not other humans. You're going to have to take out zombies and stuff like that. But yeah, like, and the fact that they're not bathed, they're in those dingy clothes, and they're not even taking a shower. Like,
and that's how you know Jimmy Crystal is not gay. Like maybe you can't, like, there's no like sexuality to him outside of like a knife to your throat, I guess. But like a gay Satanist in a post-apocalyptic world would have a little more camp to him.
A little bit more fashion.
Yeah.
Or more charisma.
Like they would absolutely be throwing a fit. Like if, or at least I would. You know, if I was a gay cultist leader.
Not even just that, but if he was gay, there would be a level of ego there. Like we can't all be Jimmy. Like no, like I mean, only one of us could be the Jimmy. Like you could be Ashley, and you're like, there's only one Jimmy.
You're like, the closest you could get to is being a James around me. None of this.
Maybe we could all be J words, but not Jimmy.
Yeah, this is my fist, Jolene, Janie, James, Jonathan. I also
maybe he could be queer, because I mean the fact he's calling them fist, so maybe he might be into fisting.
If he would have bust out a latex glove like midway through the movie, I'm like, oh yeah, no, subtle gayness there. Yeah, there's a lot of like inwardly like directed homophobia, the way that he's putting on that latex glove to murder this person.
Yeah, but who knows? But I mean, considering we saw him as a kid, and so he's been on the run this whole time, I'm like, when will he really? And now he's surrounded by a bunch of kids. Like when will he know or have the chance to find out if he likes to suck a little? Because nothing. I guess it just depends on his reaction. Like we don't know. I don't remember. Did he see the alpha? I'm like, I guess we got to see what was his reaction to that giant zombie dick.
He only saw the alpha once, and it was only as he was dying.
I think that was when he was wearing clothes at that point.
Yeah.
The alpha was wearing a loincloth.
And that's the closest this movie gets to being gay. The friendship in between Dr. Kelson and Samson.
Yeah.
Like they dance together.
They do. They dance together. I'm like, I was thinking that in the movie. I was like, is this a little gay? Like, are they about to have sex? That's a lot. That'd be a lot for Dr. Kelson to take, because that's a big ass.
Yeah, I know.
I'm assuming the virus had to enhance it.
Yeah, it like Samson is the alpha. Does that mean that Dr. Kelson's the omega here? Like, what's the relationship here?
I guess.
I love those scenes though. It's like the first third of this movie is a little bit of a hangout movie in between Samson and Kelson, and I just love those scenes of just Duran and getting high together.
I could watch a whole movie with them dancing and sitting next to each other, and the alpha just being like dazed.
Chai Lewis Perry, who is in real life 6'9", like he's a giant man, a gigantic man. He's a former like fighter too, kickboxer.
I didn't know he was that tall in real life.
Oh yeah. From what I understand, like his member is prosthetic, but that height is all.
That was prosthetic.
Yeah. There's not a British man walking around with a hammer like that.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you could find maybe one.
I really like that relationship though. Like it's a friendship. It's probably the nicest relationship actually in like these like 3 movies that are going to come out.
I think that's the irony and the beauty of this movie. Whereas that seems to be, I mean, outside of why am I drawing a blank on the name? The guy from the first movie,
Jim, who's played by Cillian Murphy.
Yeah, Cillian Murphy. Him and the girl.
Yeah.
Granted, we didn't see her in this movie. I'm surprised we didn't see her show up, but we saw the daughter.
Yeah.
But basically, I was just gonna say, outside of that relationship, it's the most stable relationship that we've seen in these movies.
Yeah, they found love in a hopeless place. They found friendship in a hopeless place, and I just liked seeing because it's the inverse of what the Jimmies are doing. Like Kelson not only brings like relief to like Samson through like medicine, but like he just talks to Jimmy Crystal once, and like Jimmy Crystal, like his whole facade crumbles, like his whole kayfabe crumbles, and says, you know, like I'm kind of just winging this, and I need you to be part of this coercion now.
Yeah, and it also goes to show like a commentary on like a lot of right wing ideology to throw that in there. Because like there's this video that I've been seeing show up on my For You page a lot where there's this lady, I don't remember her name, but she asks a lot of conservative people, okay, let's say you get your conservative vision and you get everything that you want. What does America look like in the next 15 years? And they can't give her an answer. They're just like, oh yeah, we get a lot of freedom. There's more freedom, and you get to do and not, not a lot of snowflakes. And she's like, okay, but what does that mean? Like, what does that actually look like? And they're just like, yeah, freedom, and people get to live their life and pay their bills, and like, but what does that actually what does that mean, like concrete? And they can't answer it. Like, let's say we deport all the immigrants. They're like, oh, people get jobs because there's no more immigrants taking all the jobs. Okay, so like, okay, the immigrants take all. You get rid of all the immigrants from America. Now what? What does that mean? And they can't answer it.
None of them are lining up to say, I would love to pick cherries for like no money. None of them are saying, I would love to wipe things down for $7.50 an hour at McDonald's, at Walgreens, at Walmart, at every other wall, at Wawa. Like, because I've seen those videos too, and yeah, they have no vision. Even when they get pressed on trying to like deliver a vision in the moment, it really is just like, as long as things keep going the way they're going, as in like in their point of view, like the betterment of, I don't know, white people, I guess, the rich, I guess, that's all they care about. And it's a little cucked, honestly. And
yeah, so kind of like going what you said about like with Dr. Kelson, when he talks about like that whole facade drops and all that other stuff, it's kind of the same ideology, where it's like, if you ask me all right, because I would say since you mentioned like this is like a more like socialist agenda podcast, I would consider myself more left wing than even Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
So like if you ask me like, what is my vision for the world in the next 15 years? Like, I can give, like, if I got everything that I wanted, I can give you a rundown of like very specific policy and life goals. Like, everybody will have universal health care. Like, everybody that works will have ownership in the business that they work for, things like that. It will be illegal for large corporations like Amazon to lay off like 16,000 workers, but they're making billions and billions of profits or whatever, and things like that. Like, or if they do lay off people like that, they will have to pay for at least a year's salary with benefits included, so that it gives people time to try to find something else. Like, I can go down the list of things that like billionaires would no longer exist.
Yeah.
Like, they would get the fuck taxed out of them. Like, so like, yeah, like I could keep going, but I'm not gonna go on that whole tangent. We'll talk about 28 years later.
Like, well, like the movie engages with that. Like, even humorously, like, this is written by Alex Garland, right? Who is a British man, and Ray Fiennes plays Dr. Kelson, who both the character and Rafe are British. And in the British Isles, there is the National Health Service, the NHS, who as a institution has been weakened for the last 10 years. But at a certain time, especially in the 90s, where these characters, like, their like whole life pretty much stopped. They understood that you need healthcare. Dr. Kelson worked as a doctor. He was willing. He still took that knowledge that he gained, both as a doctor and also in his like practice, to like use it to like resolve one of the biggest issues in his community, which is the rage virus. I think the movie and Nia and Alex are very understanding that this is a reflection of the current state of things. People kind of feel like we're in apocalypse right now.
We definitely are. Especially with everything that's happening with ICE and all this other stuff. And like I said, people are getting laid off left and right, like 16,000 workers just from Amazon, and Salesforce laid off a bunch of people. UPS are laying off a bunch of people. I keep seeing all over my timeline on like Threads and Twitter how people have been out of a job for like 12 months and they've been trying to find jobs and they can't seem to find another job, and they're applying to everything under the sun. They've filled out like hundreds of applications and can't seem to even get an interview. AI and all this, like, so it definitely feels like an apocalypse right now.
100%. Like in the 2020s, there's been this like massive amount of layoffs, and it feels like there's a white collar recession happening, which is like the inverse of like what the first 20 years of this century were about, which was like, hey.
But the stock market, but if you ask the politicians, the stock market is up. That means the economy is doing great. Like no.
And I think like Alex Garland in his like filmography always kinds of engages with these larger concepts, these larger things. Like even just a handful of years ago, he both wrote and directed like Civil War, and he also like released Warfare last year, but I didn't watch it. Like Civil War is all about like this country splitting into like more violent sections due to some demagogue.
I didn't see Civil War, but I heard that the thing about that movie is he didn't really have a point of view.
Oh, 100%.
With regards to that movie, it's like he tried to have his cake and eat it too, with regards to like talking about the violence and the Civil War and but he didn't like make a point. So there were a lot of people that walked away from that movie that were just like, okay, what was the point of this movie then? Like, if you're not going to have a point of view, then why make this movie? So I didn't see it, but that was the criticism that I heard.
I look, I am a man with a certain set of politics, and I can tell you that like one of the worst things that came out of that movie is that there was a large group of people with influence, creative types even, that don't have a vision for like what can be. And that movie's all about that. Even this movie doesn't like, does never get into like the more the structural side of the conversation. And I don't think it wants to, because it's all about like personalities. And like I talk about Jimmy Crystal as this maybe like right-wing figure because in him dropping kayfabe to like maintain his like coercive power over the fingers, because that kind of happens a lot these days. Like, sure, we could talk about like political figures, but like there's a whole side of the internet that's all about people presenting a get rich quick schemes, or like all these other like forms of making money through crypto or gambling or Polymarket or Kalshi that are all about as meaningful as Satan, honestly.
All these everybody's trying to sell something, because I mean, and part of it is also because of the system that we live in. Like, it's all capital, like everything is all about making a profit, even things that shouldn't be for profit, like healthcare, or we have to have a house to live, or we have to eat to live. Living in an apartment or having like shelter and buying food, things like that should not be for profit. I mean, again, going back to even my vision for the world, things that you need to live should not be for profit. So housing, food, clothing, all of those things, unless you're like trying to buy luxury things that you don't need, like a Gucci belt or like things like that, then yeah, you could have
I'm sorry, I need a Gucci belt to live. I'm sorry, brother. I need to look good. The apocalypse is here, and I'm trying to get laid.
You can have your Gucci belt, but just in general, like general like clothing, food, furniture, like healthcare,
Yeah.
education, even like news and things like none of that stuff should be for profit. And then also considering the life that we live in now, like you need to have an internet connection just to be connected to the world, like municipal Wi-Fi, broadband, like city-run Wi-Fi, like that should just be part of the infrastructure. Like I'm more left wing than Bernie Sanders, so like
Sure. Sure.
he doesn't even talk about that type of stuff. But like that should just be part of our infrastructure because the whole point, because people hear me say things like that, and they're just like, oh, you just want government to take care of you. Yes, that's exactly what government is supposed to be for. The reason that we as a human society came together to create civilization is to be able to collectively solve problems and handle situations that no one individual can solve. Back when we were hunter-gatherers, one human could not take out a woolly mammoth, but a group of us could come together and take out a woolly mammoth. And with that, and once we take out that woolly mammoth, it's big enough to feed our entire society. And then we can, chop it up and get the wool and the clothes to clothe our entire society. That is the point of civilization. The village, the saying of it takes a village. Like that is the point of government. So yeah, I want government to fucking take care of me, especially in this age of like people getting laid off and things like that. Like you got people applying for jobs and they can't find a job. So what? They're just supposed to be homeless and be like, what are they supposed to do? That's what government is supposed to be for, to pick up the slack where people can't pick it up for themselves.
100%.
And that's what Dr. Kelson, that's kind of what Dr. Kelson is doing.
Dr. Kelson's like all about like figuring this out. Like his whole thing, even about like memento mori, remember death. Like in his like ossuary, this garden of bones, like this bone temple. It's all about like understanding that you are here for a moment. You need to be here fully. And once you're not here, there needs to be at least someone to remember you. In the first movie, 28 years later, like that's what he does for Spike's mother. Like he provides a sense of relief, just the same way that he was about to do that for Samson in this movie. But that's because he understands that we are here to the benefit of each other. And when we can't be here for the benefit of each other, we have to remember those that came before us. And I love that. I really like that. I think this movie wants to get at that generally. And I want to talk also about the use of like religious imagery here. Because even that, like the Christian imagery throughout this movie, it's all for the purpose of coercion. Like Jimmy Crystal uses like Satan or Old Nick as a way to fear monger to the fingers. But like because Kelson is lived before this time, he understands that like there's more to this, and there's like there's theater to this. There's also like a sense of like cultural understanding to this. That's why he could like bring out the Iron Maiden song to be able to make a theatrical performance of evil. Like it's not actual evil. There's no actual Satan in this. He's just using his own cultural understanding of the before times to like make the show.
And that was a great scene. That was a great scene.
Yeah, what did you think of it?
The fire scene and everything like that, which I don't think it was actually Ray Fiennes in that outfit, like doing all that stuff, but just still the way it was shot, like it was a nice scene.
It was great. Like the way that he was dancing and like skulking about, very fun.
Yeah.
Ray Fiennes talks about how like acting is more of a in the moment, in situ like concept. There's not an intellectual side of things. And like when he this is like a great actor, right? Incredible like filmography under his belt, under his Gucci belt. And like he just this this silly dance, very theatrical dance. The use of fire in there too. Like, I
And
don't know.
especially with the idea of like Satan things. Yeah.
And the thing is, like, I don't even know if like the Jimmies know about like this concept of Satan and like hellfire even. So like Kelson needing to use that like imagery is like, it's very astonishing to me because there this movie also like entangles this concept of like cultural memory that I really like. Like, there's so many like references to the past, like with Duran Duran being one of them, or like he even Radiohead even plays at a certain point. It's not like within the movie itself, but like there's these overt concepts of the past, the things that came before, the things that existed. Even a mention of Spinal Tap's turning things up to 11. And that's all cultural memory. Cultural memory that like cuts right through the narrative that Jimmy wants to have. That like this is a playground for destruction and evil.
Yeah, not even just that, but like just in general, like they always say history repeats itself. The past, you're doomed to repeat if you don't learn from the past and all that other stuff. And then just like the idea of memory, like that is something that's also important, like remembering the before and preserving what was before and things like that. That's why it's always, the oral traditions of our ancestors before it was written down on the word, like that's also very important.
Oh yeah.
So kind of going like to what you mentioned earlier, the idea and the imagery of the bone temple, even though you're not literally remembering, because the people, the it's just the skull, and you can't differentiate one human skull from another. Like it's just a skull, but still knowing that there's still that level of energy that still is living and being preserved from there. Like that's why it's even in the title, the Bone Temple.
Yeah. I mean, how do you connect to it? How do you connect with that? What's the cultural memory that you're like moving forward with? Like, I know that you're a big comic book guy, and like comic books have been around for well over 100 years now.
Yeah. I mean, for me, being a black gay comic geek, I think the cultural memory that I just try to live off is just all my ancestors that came before me that are like, that fought against slavery and against Jim Crow and against redlining and all the queer people that came before fighting during Stonewall, Marsha P. Johnson, Sylvia Rodriguez, Bernard Rustin, etc. That, whereas before, once upon a time, it was even illegal to be gay. Just openly get, like, I wouldn't be able to make content calling myself Black Gay Comic Geek if it wasn't for all the people that came before me. Mostly black trans women, black lesbian, like things like that have fought to preserve even just have jobs. Like I think about with the Lavender Scare, which is what the show Fellow Travelers was about. Gay people being fired from just having government jobs. Just because you're gay, you can't have a job, you can't work.
Which is so fucked
like,
up. Everyone knows that being gay is expensive. You need a job.
Exactly. So it's like I'll get it from both sides, being black and being gay. So like that's why I also called myself Black Gay Comic Geek on the internet, because I know, just like what I mentioned before, I don't remember if I mentioned this before we started recording or after we started recording, but like I said, representation matters, and through representation, it equals normalization. So like being that representation for somebody else that may not see themselves, do it, because a lot of, especially like reviewing people that review movies, they review TV shows, they review comic books. A lot of them are straight white men. But then when you do get people of color, a lot of them are, whether it's black, Latina, Asian, etc. Like a lot of them are straight too. So it's like, it's not a lot of us that are talking about, there's a lot of queer creators, but they're maybe talking about reality TV, or they're talking about like movies in general. But me, I specifically focus on fantasy, sci-fi, horror, that aspect of the genre. And a lot of those people are straight. And so I'm like, hey, there's a lane for us too. Like, I could talk about X-Men just like the straight people can, but I'm also lusting and want to blow Gambit. In addition to that,
I thought you were gonna say one of the Summers brothers.
I mean, Cyclops could get it too. He was in a throuple with Wolverine.
Hey, yeah.
Nightcrawler could get it. I'm not a furry, but for that instance, I'll give it to Nightcrawler.
For Alan Cummings, yeah, absolutely.
Well, I don't know about Alan Cummings. I'm talking about Nightcrawler.
I mean, I'm with you there. Like, I often think about like talking. I like comic books. I like all forms of media, and usually when I go out to try to like see what is being talked about, I dislike how certain like queer themes are just like goes right over people's heads. I even think about how in this movie and like other similar like post-apocalyptic movies, like I can't name a single like queer character within this, and like maybe there's like some morbid something there, you know, like where is the trans people in the post-apocalypse? I need to see that. I want to see that. And I'm not going to be satisfied with representation until we get maybe 2 or 3 trans-related zombie movies a year, just like how we get a dozen like straight zombie movies a year.
Yeah, I know. I agree with that. Which actually, have you seen Queens of the Dead? I think that's the name of it. Hold on, let me. I think that's the name of it. Queens of the Dead. Yeah, it's called Queens of the Dead.
No, I haven't. I haven't heard of it actually.
I definitely recommend it. It was really good. I saw it last month, I believe. It's actually a queer zombie apocalypse with like drag queens. Damn near everybody in the cast are queer.
Nice.
And it's directed and written by Tina Romero, who's the daughter of George Romero, who did Night of the Living Dead and those movies. But it was really good. So
yeah, I mean, I will definitely watch it. Maybe Marcy and I will even cover it. A October episode, teasing an October episode in January. I just want to talk about Samson a little bit. Like,
you want to talk about his dick?
Yeah, it's gigantic. Yeah. So we talked
like wait, pause. So so if somebody came to you and somebody you were attracted to and you wanted to sleep with them and they get naked and that's what they pull out, what's your next move?
if someone that is 6'9" walks up to me and asks me to do that, I'd be like, no. Like it just feels like, one, it feels like, how did you get in here? The door is not big enough for you. How did you get in here?
Yeah.
So Samson breaks this like cycle of abuse, and I really like that. But I also kind of like, we've talked about being gay here, but like we haven't talked about the racial component here. Like, I think in a lesser movie, I think in a movie directed by someone who is not interested in the POC experience, I think would like mythologize Samson into like a brute and only a brute. And I really like Alex Garland's and Nia DaCosta's like approach to Samson, who's not like a savage, like a British person, a racist British person might have like created this. I think Chai is South Asian.
Yeah, I think so.
Would have like used his like skin color to like make him into a savage, and I just like that he is the character that leaves this movie with the most like development and the most empathy. Yeah, might be a zombie, but like that's how he started. That's not how he ended.
That's not how he finished. Yeah, and that's also that's the thing I most appreciate about this movie. The fact that I was like, Who would have thought going into this movie that my favorite character, well, actually, never mind. I take that back. I was going to say the one that's naked. The guy that's naked with the big dick ends up being my favorite character. Surprise. But no, on a serious note, like, who would have thought that that character, who was really nothing, there was a nothing burger to him for the most part in that first movie. When we get introduced to him, he's just a raging zombie, the alpha zombie, but there's nothing else to him. But he'd end up being probably my favorite character of the whole series because of like the depth that Nia DaCosta showed with him, like how we saw, because at the end of the day, kind of like I mentioned, all of these zombies that we see, they're all human.
Mm-hmm.
They're not actual zombies. They just got infected by a virus from a bunch of monkeys, but they're still human. They all have backstories. Like we even saw like the pregnant zombie at one point. Like they didn't choose to be the way they are, but because of the circumstances of it, they just are. They're infected by a rage virus. But here you see Dr. Kelson, who is seeing beyond that, beyond the rage virus. And it's just like, no, I can cure these people. And it does throw into like, is it a little bit of maybe a white savior trope? It could dive into that territory, maybe a little bit. I don't necessarily think so. But like there's a story there because like I like that Kelson, like not Kelson. I can't think of the name of the zombie, but the alpha zombie. But like the moment where he fully awakened, he fully like came into his humanity, and was just like, yeah, I don't have a ticket. Like the whole audience gasped, like, and I was just like, yeah,
yeah.
and then and the fact that he still retained his zombie strength, that he was able to fuck up all of, like it was like a whole lot of zombies in that train, and he walked away unscathed. I mean, granted, I don't want to say unscathed. He still has scar, like they still bit him, but he survived. He survived, yeah.
And I like that. Like I wanted to watch this and like overlay like a racial politic to this. And at the end of it, all I could think is that it's this feeling that like there needs to be like a forward progress outside of the racial politic of the 90s or even especially of the 2026. Because this character and this actor, who is not a prolific actor, this is only his like third movie that he's been in, he did an incredible job through almost no dialogue. It's all physical. It's all his makeup, and it's all this understanding that this cultural understanding of what it means to be a brute in the eyes of a white supremacist versus what it actually is, which is, well, a sensitive character. Like that's what Samson becomes. He saves his buddy. He even ignores this guy that's like yapping at him in this like reverse crucifixion, and that's just beautiful. And also, I have seen no motherfucker online talk about the racial politic of Samson, and I'm just like, it's so evident to me.
Almost a reverse commentary on brown people in society, I guess specifically in America, but not just America, because like Southeast Asians deal with racism and things like that because they're not the traditional, what you think of when you think of Asian, like you think of like the more Eastern Asian, the Koreans, the Japanese, not the Filipino type of Asian, things like that. But like, even it's just the idea of like brown people always being angry, always, like you think of like the angry black man, the angry black woman, things like that. Or like,
or the violent Mexican,
the spicy Latina, the spicy, it's like, it's almost a reverse of that because that's how we saw the alpha. Does his character have a name?
His name's Samson.
Oh, duh, Samson. I can't, but I thought it's like actual, like, did he have like an actual name?
No, he gets named Samson by Dr. Kelson.
Okay, but like Samson, like that's how you saw Samson at first. He was the stereotypical, like, granted, he's not black, but he was the angry black man. He was the rage monster, the one, the scary brown guy that you should fear with the long schlong abnormal animal-like features, but he became more. He also became one of the more caring characters that we saw. Nurturing while still being physically imposing, and like he was a visual representation of what a lot of people of color deal with in life. Like he had the scars and the bruises of how the world treated and affected him, but underneath all of that was a kind soul. We just had to get to that.
It's also like systemic, right? Because like he didn't create the rage virus. He was either born into it or infected.
Yeah, he was affected. He was affected by it.
And like this is why like I talk about.
I don't even know if he was born into it, because we saw that baby was born, and that baby isn't a zombie.
Right. Yeah, he was infected. Even in the movie, like he's shown as a young man in the train, right? And so like this is why like I'm interested in talking about like the representation in the like the racial politic of this, because there is something here, and there is something of this moment where this movie can be this Rorschach, where like anybody could overlay what they want. But I think Alex Garland and Nia DaCosta and the actors here portrayed a moment in time that we live in, of this feeling of apocalypse, this feeling of destruction, this feeling of what we knew is gone, and we barely even remember it now. But like there is heart here, and I really like that, and that can only come with the experience of the creative team here. So we're moving into Hopecast, where we talk about anything that's bringing us hope or a positive emotion. And so, Michael, the black gay comic geek, what's bringing you hope these days?
There's not a lot, but what's bringing me hope these days, honestly, is just the fact that despite a lot of the circumstances that we're dealing with, like I just see people still creating and still fighting. Like even just look at like the large protests that are happening in Minneapolis and things like that. Like the fact that people are still creating and still fighting, and you know, still making beautiful art, still making content, despite the circumstances that we're in. Like we're still finding time to be, you know, like people that are donating to causes and things like that. Like that is bringing me hope despite the shitty circumstances that we're in. And then also being able to read some Heated Robbery.
Hey, that's always good. I'm with you there. Like I'm with you there. Like there is like not too much to like look forward to sometimes these days in 2020.
Like yeah, every time you turn around, and the man has only been in office for a year. We still got 3 more years of this shit. Like every time you turn around, it's some new bullshit.
Yeah, I would say I've said this a handful of times on the show during Hopecast. What you're saying, and it's true, and it's very visible, and it's cool hearing you say the same thing. I think what's bringing me hope these days is actually a change in rhetoric, a change in like vocabulary that's being used at the national level. Just a handful of days ago, I saw an interview with Giancarlo Esposito, the Afro-Italian actor from New York. Shout out New York. And he said something that I was not expecting. This man who did live the life of someone who suffered under the American state. I mean, even going back to Do the Right Thing, he said with his full chest, he said, "We need a revolution." And honestly,
yeah, and I've been seeing a lot of those commentaries as well, which I agree.
And that's so cool.
Or even just the idea of like more people. I feel like more people are coming to my side of the aisle.
Yeah.
With the idea of like, billionaires don't need to exist.
Yeah.
Granted, that's still considered a radical fringe ideology, but slowly more and more people, even in the mainstream media, people are like, what do you think of the idea that we need to get rid of billionaires? They're like, oh yeah, well, people like Elon Musk, while they have a lot of money, I don't necessarily think you should get rid of billionaires. Yes, the fuck you should. But at least that conversation, it's not moving as fast as I want it to move, but at least now, like slowly but surely, like Martin Luther King said, the arc of justice, it bends slow. It's slow, but it bends towards justice. Something like that. I'm butchering the fucking phrase, but it's something like that. Like there's slow progress of those types of conversations that are happening. Again, not as fast as I want it to. But
and I think it's picking up speed, which is like that's what I like to see. Like 2 months ago, it almost felt like no one in the national level was with power was talking about abolishing ICE, and now it feels like as long as the Democrats don't fuck it up, like it could happen.
They're gonna fuck it up because you had a couple people asking like Democrat, like even for Gavin Newsom, who's supposed to be the front runner for the Democratic Party. They asked him, "Do you favor abolishing ICE?" And he said, "No." What the fuck are you doing? Like,
it's so easy.
like,
most people in America want that.
So I feel like the thing that also gives me hope is like, because when Bernie Sanders first ran, he was like a fringe candidate. Nobody actually took him seriously. So like, but now like his ideals and ideology, granted, he's like 1,000 years old now, so I don't know if I want him to run. But I feel like if a Bernie Sanders type ran in 2028, they'd win.
100%. I think whoever shows up with.
We just need to figure out who that person is, because the names that have been floating around are like Pete Buttigieg, who don't want him. He's just another corporatist Democrat. Gavin Newsom, no, don't want him. He's just another corporatist Democrat. Granted, obviously, if it came between them and whoever the Republican, the worst Democrat is still better than the best Republican. So I agree with that. But like, the reason we keep getting these fringe and terrible Republican candidates is because we keep getting these incrementalism Democrats. We need somebody that's going to enact like sweeping change, full rhetoric, like abolishing the billionaire. Like that's the only way that's the reason why we got people like Trump. Obama was charismatic, but he was just another incrementalist. Like he talked about, change is coming to America, but it's like, he's like, I don't want to play the same old Washington games. I want to completely change how Washington works. And then he got into office and played the same old Washington games. That's why we got Trump.
100%.
Because things didn't really change under his administration. We need somebody that's like really going to talk and implement and fight for sweeping change, even if we don't get it. Because we still got these shitty ass Republicans and Democrats in Congress. So it's going to be hard for a president, because the president doesn't make the laws, the Congress does.
100.
But even if we don't get it, we still see you fighting, because the power of the presidency, the thing that makes the president as powerful as they are, even though they don't make the laws, is they have the bully pulpit. They can command an audience. So if you have somebody like Kristen Sinema or Joe Manchin, the so-called blue dog Democrats, who's like, we can't get these bills passed because Kristen Sinema and Joe Manchin are not voting for the bills. Okay, I am the president. I am going to go to West fucking Virginia and I'm going to hold a rally and be like, look, the reason that you don't have universal health care is because of this motherfucker right here. There's an election coming up in the next 2 days. Vote this bitch out if you want universal health care. But they don't do that. They're like, my friend Joe Manchin. No, fuck that. That's the type of president that we need.
And whoever really shows up with an actual plan against that, and the energy and even the language to say that they stand against it, not just at a moral level, at a political level, but just simply at a human level, because these people are so repulsive that like it causes you at a human level to be like, I don't want to be near that guy.
Yeah,
is going to win.
Your rhetoric can't just be we're better than Trump or we're not Trump. Like I feel like that's the only thing the Democrats are running on right now, that we're not Trump. Okay, what else does that mean? Like,
Yeah.
if you're not talking about abolishing ICE, I don't fucking want to hear from you.
Yeah.
If you're not talking about universal health care, I don't want to hear from you. If you're not talking about raising the minimum wage to at least $30 an hour, because who can live off of $15 an hour? $15 an hour was cute maybe 10 years ago. Not today. $30 an hour and then tied to inflation.
Looks like this is bringing us a lot of hope, and I'm very happy to hear you say that, Michael, the Black Gay Comic Geek. Thank you so much for being here. Where can the good people in Dove Witherland find you?
You can find me all across social media, TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, which people don't really use Twitter anymore, but YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Black Gay Comic Geek.
And I will have those linked below. So all you need to do is maybe click 2 links to follow him. Michael, you do incredible work. I really appreciate seeing it. I really like it. As someone newer to this, and as someone who's like very focused on providing an alternative to the, as we talked about, the very white male perspective, I'm very happy to have you as a colleague in this. So you can find Marcy and I on Dove Weather literally everywhere. You can see those links in the description below. Thank you so much for listening. Give us 5 stars.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you. And we'll see you next time. Bye.